Hello, my name is Masha and today we're going to be ordering string from AliExpress to see what it's all about. Thank you to this user for the video idea. Don't forget that you can also submit video ideas on my Discord server in the video ideas section. If you have your own ideas, feel free to put them there. If you like someone else's, feel free to upvote it. I'm not particularly active in that channel. I don't really reply because I don't like giving people false hope, but I do look at that channel whenever I'm brainstorming for new ideas. So put your ideas there if you have any. Alright, so I have actually ordered string from AliExpress before. I've never done it for a video though, and the last time that I did it ever was in like 2019, so I barely remember that experience anyway. Let's talk a little bit about the string that I actually use. If you want a more in-depth look, I have a materials overview video that I filmed about a year ago that's still pretty much relevant because I just update the same strings whenever I run out of them. I've also done a bunch of hauls since then, which you can also have a look at if you want to know what materials I use. I'll leave all of those videos linked in the description. But as a basic sort of overview, I tend to use embroidery floss, which is mostly 100% cotton. Sometimes I also use yarns because you can get a lot of it for very cheap. With yarns, I also sometimes use like multicolored or sparkly strings, depending on my mood, I guess. The yarns tend to not be cotton, especially the sparkly and multicolored ones. Sometimes they use other kinds of materials, but my preference is cotton string just because, I don't know, I like it. And if I could only use one type of string, I probably would only use embroidery floss, purely because I enjoy it the most. I don't really have a reason for that. But different people like different types of string, and I thought I would check out the string that they have on AliExpress. I've tried it before, as I said, and I don't think I had a particularly negative experience. I can very vaguely remember what it was like. The string is a little bit different, I think, than the regular embroidery floss, although it does mimic it quite well. I think the knots turn out a little bit thicker than they do with regular embroidery floss. But let's have a look to see if anything has changed in the last 2 years. Alright, so here we are on the AliExpress website, which, if you don't know, it's kind of like Wish. It's a website that sells stuff directly from China and it imports directly to you. So usually the stuff on here is really cheap. I'm not logged into any account as to not taint the recommendations, but let's have a look. Why does it say sticky ball? Oh, I thought I wrote that and forgot about it. No, that's just an autofill. Let's write embroidery floss. There, you can already see that they offer a wide range of colors. No repeat colors. I don't know if that's a good thing, actually. Because if I remember correctly, the last time that I ordered string that was from AliExpress, I think actually the string that I'm thinking of I ordered from Amazon, but it was basically still string from AliExpress. Like, you know how Amazon sometimes resells stuff that was bought like directly off of like Wish and AliExpress? This was kind of that type of situation. And I ordered one of these 100-piece things, and it was good because I got a wide range of strings, but then I realized that like if I want to make alphas, for example, I'm going to need more than one string per color because I need more string to do that. And so I ordered another one of those from the same seller, and then when the strings arrived, none of them were the same. They were very much different, and so that didn't help. So I don't know if that's necessarily a good thing that they don't repeat the colors, but I guess it could be depending on what your needs are. So yeah, basically a lot of these look the same. A lot of these are very cheap as well. Like, wow, this costs basically nothing. Let's have a look at this one potentially. Yeah, so this very much does remind me of the stuff that I've previously purchased both on Amazon and on AliExpress. The packaging even looks the same. It potentially could be the exact same brand. I love how they use similar to DMC in their titles. Can you embroider with it? Because I think it's one of those strings that doesn't really separate particularly well. That might be something that we could try once it actually arrives. But yeah, I think I might actually use this one. I'm gonna get 50 colors because I really don't need many colors. How much is 100? $8 for 100 strings. If they're good strings, that's an incredibly good price. Yeah, let's try this one. Let's have a look at this one, but let's have a look at something else as well. Oh, we've got some tie-dye strings. These look like prism. I don't know if they are directly that, but both the logo and the packaging and everything looks like Prism string, which is a brand that I've used before. I can't say I particularly love it because it tended to snap when I was using it. I don't know if that was just me, because talking to other people, it didn't really happen to other people that much, so it might have been just the way that I was knotting. I'm not sure, but because of that, I didn't really love that string. I mean, let's have a look at this. October 3rd. I wonder when this video is going to come out and when I'm going to get everything, because right now it is the 17th of July. Just saying, just putting that out there. I wonder when this video is going to come out. Wow, but yeah, let's potentially have that. There is a lot of different kinds here. I really don't know where to start. Ooh, we've got some metallic ones, which kind of look like DMC, but probably isn't. These kind of remind me of DMC with the packaging and everything, but I can guarantee you that it isn't. Oh, these come in individuals. Okay, so one individual string is gonna be $1. That is more expensive than the other stuff that you find on here, but that is still, I mean, a reasonable price. That's what you would get at a store as well. Probably more expensive at a store. Yeah, I'm gonna grab like one of these. I don't actually need any more metallic string because I don't really use metallic string that frequently. I don't like it. But I'm gonna grab one just to see what it looks like. I know that you can get these on here, the bobbins, and you can probably get boxes and stuff as well. That might be a good thing to get off of AliExpress because it really doesn't make a difference where you buy that. And they sell for really cheap here. So that might be a good decision. Ooh, is this actually Anchor? I don't think it is, but it says Anchor, but they lie. Is that actually Anchor? I love how they just don't show the brand thing on here. They just, I mean, I'm gonna get it anyway because I'm kind of running out of white and black. I bought black and white strings off of Amazon, like in bulk, way like 2-3 years ago. I don't remember when. And I'm slowly starting to run out. And the place that I bought it from on Amazon doesn't sell anymore, so I'm gonna try that, see if it's actually any good. Oh, you can get these. I think that's for embroidery. Or cross stitching or whatever, so that you can like tie on the strings of different colors onto them so that you can tell apart the different strings. If that makes sense, when you're cross stitching or using embroidery. I don't know if that's the same for embroidery because I don't do that craft. Oh, here we go, some more multicolored ones. Let's have a look at this. Also black. I'm gonna have a look at that one as well. These multicolored strings really remind me of DMC in terms of color schemes, at least. I know that DMC has the majority of those color schemes as color schemes of their strings as well. I'm pretty sure this isn't DMC because they don't really sell DMC on AliExpress as far as I know. But the color schemes look very similar. Also, that looks like a familiar picture. I swear I've seen that on Instagram somewhere. Oh wait, is it DMC? AMC. I don't know, but it costs $14. That's a pretty big price for AliExpress. It's not a big price for a store. Like, I would pay $14 gladly for a bag of string like that, but it is a big price for AliExpress. I might still get it just to try it out, just to see what it's like. And then I can see, we've got some of this. Wait, is it actually DMC? It says DMC. Well, we'll see when it arrives. And here we've got some more DMC, apparently. This is metallic embroidery floss. I don't need any. I'll be completely honest with you. I really don't need this. I'm gonna spend money on it and then I'm not gonna use it ever again because I don't like it very much, personally. It's a good string. It's a really good string. I just personally don't love metallic strings. Maybe I won't buy this one. But all right, so let's actually stop buying stuff. All right, so I'll take the white string. I'll take the variated string to see what it's like. I'll take one of these metallic strings. I'll take this variated string as well. And we'll take 50 of this string. I think that should be enough for today. I don't want to go completely overboard and spend all of my money on string today because I already have a lot. I realistically don't actually need more string. But for the purpose of the experiment, let's check this out. I wonder how long it's going to take for this video to be ready. As I said, it's July 17th right now. I'll see you when I'll see you. Alright, so this is probably like a bit of a half update in the middle of the video because I received everything but one of the stuff that I was meant to receive. And I already put my makeup on for a different video, so I thought that I might as well film this part and then film another part whenever the last bit arrives. Today is July 29th, so everything arrived really quickly. In fact, a lot of this stuff arrived probably like 5 days after I filmed that video, which was very surprising. And the tie-dye stuff that said that was gonna be delivered in like October ended up arriving yesterday, which was July 28th. 28th. So I don't know what those estimates were, but it did end up arriving pretty quickly, except for the last one that I bought, which was like $14 worth. I'm still waiting on that one, but hopefully it arrives soon. Anyway, let's have a look at what I got. I did already open everything. Crinkles too much, purely because I don't want to share my address online and it's too much work to edit that out. We're going to open the packaging together. Let's start with the metallic string. Ooh, I did just buy one of these because I don't really like metallic string. I don't use it a lot, but I think it's good just based off visuals alone. It feels like a metallic string. If I were to feel this and like a DMC or anything else, I probably wouldn't even be able to tell it apart. It does separate at the end, but all metallic strings separate at the end. A trick, by the way, that a lot of people use is that at the very end, tie a little knot, just a overhand knot right at the end, get it right at the end there, and then the string that separates won't go past that knot, so you can actually have a more bearable experience while knotting with metallic thread. But it is a very beautiful color. It's specifically made for cross stitch apparently, and yes, if you do use it for cross stitch, I think because it separates easier, it'll be easier to use for cross stitch. For bracelet making, not so much. Yeah, so I don't know how well you can see there, but the forward knot that I just did is much larger than a regular forward knot would be, but that tends to be the case with metallic threads. The knots made from them tend to be a little bit bulkier. The way that people go around that is instead of using the 6 strands or however many strands of individual strings are in the strand, they tend to separate them, so like people can use 3 separate pieces of string, like 3 strands of it. So basically halve it to make the knots appear smaller. But yeah, I mean, the color is good. The texture feels basically indistinguishable from metallic string that I have bought elsewhere. I don't have anything really to say on this specifically. All right, let's have a look at the white string that I got. First, how many are there? How many are there? 26. Counted them myself, but last year it was 27. There's 8. There's 8 strings here. They are weirdly soft. Softer than any other string I've ever used, I think. Apparently they're machine washable at 95 degrees Celsius. A lot of degrees. Probably wouldn't wash it at 95 degrees. And you can also iron it. The more you know. Anyway, this is not anchor. Absolutely, definitely not. It just says embroidery floss. It doesn't feel like an anchor string. It does separate really well. So if you are using this for embroidery or cross stitch, this is pretty much regular embroidery floss, and it does separate very easily if you need it to, but at the same time, I don't think it will separate too much if you're making friendship bracelets that you don't need the separation for. It feels and it looks exactly like a regular embroidery floss. Let me try and snap it. I'm trying. Okay, I don't think you will be knotting any harder than what I'm doing now. It's not snapping, it seems pretty strong. It's weirdly soft. That's what's throwing me off. It's just weirdly soft, and I don't know why. But yeah, it looks good. I'm probably gonna be using this. Let me have a look at what knots it makes. Ah, there we go. The knot looks like a regular knot, not too big. That one was really big with the metallic one, this one isn't. I might actually try and make a bracelet with these strings just to see the types of knots that come out of that, but it doesn't seem to be too different from regular embroidery floss. In fact, I could probably not really tell the difference, apart from the fact that it's really soft and that's weird. All right, let's move on. The tie-dye pack. The tie-dye pack I accidentally ripped open as I was getting the packaging open. Apparently it's 100% cotton, which I didn't know. It has 24 strings in it. It's the same color schemes, I think, as the Prism ones, but it doesn't feel like the Prism ones. In fact, it actually feels very soft, and that's weird. These are what they look like in person. Although I say in person, I'm the only one seeing them in person. That's weird, I just dropped one. Anyway, they feel great. I like the colors, they're very bright. They did not disappoint. They look very much like the advertising. They are very, very bright colors. I like the color schemes of a lot of these. Some of these are a little bit weird. Like I don't necessarily like the black and white one that goes to gray, but that's personal preference. Maybe you will actually find something to do with that one. I just don't know what to use it for. And these look really small. Is it good at separating for cross stitch? Ooh, yeah, you can definitely separate this. You can definitely separate this. The reason I'm checking that is because the floss that I've ordered from Amazon previously, like 2 years ago or something, it didn't really separate really well because it was kind of knotted together, like the way that they make 6 strands of individual strings become one was different than that of embroidery floss, and that's why it was like kind of difficult to separate. But this is very much regular embroidery floss. It feels, it looks, it behaves like regular embroidery floss. Let me try and snap it, because that's actually a problem that I've had with Prism in the past, is that it snapped really easily, and I don't think this one does. That's good. Yeah, this would snap my Prism strings if I did that with them. All right, now let's move on to the 100 that I bought. There are so many colors here. Like, look at that. There is a wide variety of strings in this pack, and it is also very soft. I wonder why. I wonder why this is a thing. You can also wash it at 95 degrees Celsius. I wouldn't recommend that though. Bit weird. I have a video on washing bracelets, by the way, if you want to see it. It's like filmed a long time ago. It was before my face reveal, so my face isn't in it. I'll leave that linked in the description if you want to watch it. All right, separation. The strands separate well. It is created like embroidery floss. I don't know if what I'm saying makes sense, but this is embroidery floss. The stuff that I've ordered from Amazon before was knotted together differently to embroidery floss. This is embroidery floss. Count the times I've said embroidery floss in this video, like wow. Anyway, I might actually try making a bracelet with these guys and then give you my review from there, but upon first impressions, let me do a rip test. Such a weird sound. They look gorgeous. The colors are very vibrant. They are not disappointing in any way, as advertised, I would say. There is a very wide range of colors here, and they look and feel amazing. I'm gonna try making a bracelet, and we'll go from there. Also, at some point, I will also do a review on the other stuff that I didn't get yet. So once again, I will see you when I see you. All right, so I made a bracelet with this string. I used the single color string, which I got 100 of, and I used the white string as well, which I purchased. So this bracelet is entirely made up of this newly purchased string, and I think it turned out amazingly. In fact, if you want to watch the process of me creating this bracelet, I actually did a knot with me, which will be linked in the card and in the description. And I also, in fact, did a tutorial about how to make a loop when you're only using a single string of that color. So as you can see, we've got one single pink string, one single red string. So I did a tutorial about how to make a loop in this case, despite only having one string. So I'll leave that video also linked. But talking about the string itself, I didn't have any issues with it whatsoever. It never snapped. It wasn't unpleasant to work with. In fact, I don't really notice any kind of difference. It's the same to work with as any other string that I've worked with before. The knots probably come out slightly bigger than they do with regular embroidery floss. I'm not 100% confident if that is actually true or if I'm just imagining things, but just by comparing it to a bracelet that I did with regular embroidery floss, both of these patterns are going to be linked in the description, by the way, I do think that they are just a tiny bit bigger, which doesn't make a difference if you're knotting a normal pattern because the knots kind of blend in together, but you might want to be a little bit more careful when knotting alphas. But to be honest, I probably wouldn't recommend using this string for alphas anyway because you don't have a lot of it. Since you've bought 100 strings, they're all individuals. There's only one string per color, and when you're making an alpha, you use quite a lot of that string, so one string per color might not be enough for, say, a background, or if you're just using a lot of that string within the alpha, you might run out of the string. So I probably wouldn't recommend using this for alphas anyway. I would probably only use this string for normal patterns, and in normal patterns, it's barely visible difference. You won't notice it. So I gave a 5-star review for this string. I am very much pleased with it. I will once again see you in the next part of the video. Alright, so I got the last package with the multicolored string. I actually got this a couple of days after filming the last segment, but then life got in the way, so I'm filming this in September now. But yeah, everything did arrive fairly quickly. I'm actually surprised at how quickly it did arrive. I was expecting it to take much longer than it did, so I'm very happy with that. Anyway, this is the multicolored string that I got. I did actually take a couple of these out already, and I have been using them, and I'll give a little bit of a review on that in a second. But as you can see, there are plenty of multicolored strings in here. I think they're really beautiful. And this has actually like reignited my passion and excitement for using multicolored string. I've used these in a lot of bracelets already. I'm currently working on one with this green multicolored string, which is not a color that I usually go for, so it's like pushing me to expand my boundaries and try something new. But I did make a bracelet with an orange one, and this was this bracelet. It's a red, orange, yellow, brown, I guess, multicolored, and I love it. I think it's really, really cool. Just look how beautifully that turned out. The size of the knots is the same as the size of regular embroidery floss, because I'm pretty sure this is regular embroidery floss. The speed at which the color changes, I think, works perfectly for bracelets as well. As you can see, I mean, the colors change quite frequently throughout this bracelet, creating a wonderful design. I didn't have any issues with fraying or snapping or anything of that sort. It was a pleasure to work with, and it looks really beautiful. So overall, I'm very pleased with this multicolored string, and it's absolutely reignited my passion for using multicolored string and like trying it with different colors as well. The bracelet I'm currently making, I'm pairing this green multicolored string with this green sparkly string that I've used before. And it does pair well with other types of strings because it is the thickness of regular embroidery floss. It looks and acts and behaves like a regular embroidery floss, so it works well with everything, just like regular embroidery floss. Anyway, these are the two bracelets that I made as a test of strings that I bought for this video. Both of these turned out beautifully, and I don't have any complaints about any of the strings that I purchased. I'm actually very happy with all of the purchases that I made for this video. Anyway, everything is linked in the description with the links to the products and the patterns that I am using here. None of this is sponsored, but I thought I would link it anyway in case you want to try it yourself. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed today's video. This one definitely took me a while to film, but I did have a lot of fun. Before I go, I want to give a special shout out to my patrons and especially my top supporters whose names are going to appear on screen. Thank you so much for your support. I truly, truly appreciate it. If you also want to become a patron and get exclusive perks for your donations, actually the bracelet that I'm making with these colors that I just showed is a Patron mystery knot along bracelet, which is a new monthly event that I'm holding for my patrons, in which I knot a mystery bracelet with you every month. So I release parts of the pattern in segments each week. We make them together, and at the very end I reveal what the full pattern is, and this is the bracelet I'm making with these strings, and it's actually turning out quite well. Anyway, if you want to join in with that, you can become a patron by the link in the description. But in any case, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed today's video, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!